dressed in what looked like a Russian khaki tunic and trousers and Russian army boots. He walked easily but purposefully, leaning forward slightly as he breasted the slope, his men following him with the same relaxed gait. There was no bodyguard, no obvious security. We were, of course, in the middle of the Panjshir Valley, with its tradition of defying all intruders. Then he was among us, I wrote at the time, and everyone was standing almost at attention, as deferential as Afghans can ever be, and I was aware of an aura, a mystique, that seemed to set him apart. As I shook his hand, I noticed above all his eyes, quick and intelligent. He was fine-looking, with aquiline features and a face I thought of a thinker, but as we discovered later, he was a man of action as well. Above all, he had an air of authority and maturity, remarkable in a man of only 28.
Great, thank you very much.
Could be very hard to be readable. Thank you so much. He helped too much for me to make this book comes to the market. And I would like to invite him. I don't like you to go boring a little bit with my accents. I want to invite him to read the half page where I expressed my first meeting with Ahmed Shah Massoud. I want him to read it to you in 1 or 2 minutes. Can you come, Ahmed?
Massoud wore a pahul, his signature trademark. It was tilted slightly to the left because his head moved from side to side when he talked. It gave him an air of nonchalance, as if war was a walk in the park, as if he was a son of destiny, and he cared naught for Russian cannons that roared at him. His brow was lined, and he had 1,000 worries and concern that stretched across the map of Afghanistan. On one end, there lay the political machinations of Peshawar, and on the other end were the schools being built on the Oxus River. His eyes, soft and yet piercing, stared into your soul. His hands were not those used to holding weapons. They weren't hard or calloused, but delicate. It was as if they belonged to an architect, calligrapher, or someone who was used to reading Sa'di's Gulistan or Ghazali's Alchemy of Happiness, both of which he carried in his pocket, even when the Russians were pounding us. He smiled at me, somewhat playfully. "Do you understand Farsi?" he asked. "A little," I replied. I didn't understand Farsi, and it was just about at survival level. He turned to his teacher, Mawlawi Ghulam Qari, and asked him to be his translator. Qari taught Massoud Hanafi jurisprudence, doctrine, and theology, come rain or shine, campaign or no campaign. That consistency allowed Massoud to become pretty adept in Islamic jurisprudence. Through Qari, Massoud asked me about my background, and I answered the best as I could. "Do you recite the Quran?" he asked me. "I can try." "Please recite the last verses from Al-Imran." And so I did. Massoud turned to his teacher and jokingly said that his estimation of him had been reduced. "They recite," replied Qari humbly, "better than us." He had no issues in learning from the Arab brothers. "From now on," said Massoud, as if the thing had already been decided, "I will learn tajweed from you after the dawn prayer."
The diaries that I've read in the book are fantastic and fascinating, and I think it's terribly important. I hope one of the conclusions of this meeting is that we encourage all people who have copies of those bits of paper to collect them together and have them copied so that they're in a central place and can be looked at. Because surely it must be almost unique to have a military commander in the field writing his views in a diary. Does anyone know of any other example of one of the Mujahideen leaders or any other similar person who has put his views down on paper so explicitly? I think that's an important question. I think this makes the thing very special and unique.
John Casey said Julius Caesar.
Well, that's a bit far back, but...
I would like to call attention to Sandy's visit, as described in the book, and helping Massoud create an encrypted technology capability to communicate with his commanders. That was absolutely key. It was a British program.